This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, hello, Jumbo everyone, and a very warm welcome to our safari this morning. And we're coming to you live from the Masai Mara in the Mara Triangle. My name is David, and with me on camera is Big James. James, how are you, sir?
I'm fine,
James says he's fine. He's asking me how I am, and I told him way back I am doing better than him, and he asked me what that means. Now, we're starting on our eastern horizon. The sun is not up as yet, but if you look in that horizon, you can see how beautiful it looks. And the good news are I'm feeling much warmer than yesterday. Yesterday morning, it was much colder than it is this morning. And I'm talking about we are 64 degrees Fahrenheit this morning and 18 degrees Celsius for those who like using a metric system. Now, yesterday, it was a wonderful afternoon. We had all lots of game, all lots of plains game. We saw lionesses, and luckily we finished our sunset drive with a cheetah, which was very exciting for me because I have not seen cheetahs for quite some time. Well, ideally I was away at home, but I just came back and looked at the beauty of the Mara Triangle. So maybe the next 10-15 minutes is when we expect the sun to push up. So it's yet to come out, but we have some wonderful light at the moment. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we are always happy when we hear you talking to us in terms of sending us questions or sending us comments. And I'm sure you can always do that using hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Well, in the Mara, I'll be the one bringing you action today with Big James, as I said earlier. But in South Africa, there's one beautiful girl who would like to say hello to all of you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. Look what a great beginning we have. We have a bit of what we call an indaba, like Lou says, and it is a collection of scrub hair. It look like they're having a conference. How cool is that? And they all just go away, just as we say good morning. Well, hello, and I am Trishala. Nice to have you on board as usual, and I have Seb on camera. Yes, I do. So remember, all completely interactive and completely live. So right now, this is all happening. So hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, so you can communicate with us, and of course use the YouTube chat stream as well. Love to hear from you as always. Remember, we're coming to you from Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is all the way down in South Africa. You met David up in the Masai Mara in Kenya, so we're coming to you from these two places as usual. Nice to have you on board. Now you can see that the sun is not quite risen for us. Still a bit dark, so we are in infrared. That's why you see us in kind of grayscale, and you can see the light peeking through above the bushes right there. It's really chilly this morning. It's in about 19 degrees Celsius, I think 67 degrees Fahrenheit. But starting this way, but apparently it's going to get up to 38 degrees Celsius, which is over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's just see how the day goes. It's going to be super, super hot. And just at about 3 o'clock when we'll go out for our afternoon drive. So preparing ourselves very much. Now, please excuse my blocked nose and my odd voice and croakiness. I have a bit of a cold this morning, but it'll obviously get better, I hope, as the morning gets on. Now, I am going to go sort of to the east of the reserve today, and we're going to start off at the watering hole sort of towards the southeast and then move up to the northeast and see how that goes. So let's make our way down. Now that our scrub hair festival has dispersed there. Look at them. Very cute. Our bunnies. Hopefully they'll be around for Easter too. Oh, it is a bit chilly. So, like I said, it is a bit dark, or still a bit dark rather. So, spotlight. Spotlight is out. Looking for any glints in the bush, little bits of eye well, not bits of eye, actual eye. But what I'm looking for is that reflective kind of, what would you even call it? Rows of cells in the reflective bits in the eye that'll bounce the light off the eye. It kind of gives the animals a double reflection. That's how they can see nicely in the darkness. Gives them twice the opportunity to absorb light, unlike us where we just have the one opportunity. But it also helps us because now when I move my spotlight from side to side, I'll be able to see little eyes poking out. Some nocturnal creatures might still be out, but very, very little. Thank you all for saying shame, and you hope I feel better soon. I don't feel bad, I'm just a little bit blocked up. So I'm sure that'll get better as the day goes on. And like even Seb's a little blocked up. We've all been a little bit affected by the weather, I think, because now the mornings are really, really cold. Or for me, really cold. I like it when it's nice and toasty. So I guess it's just a change of weather. Nothing too bad. I didn't get to check the watering holes yesterday. Oli'd had that job. So maybe, now that I'm around to check it out, there'll be some really nice animals around. I'm hoping to find maybe Tingana lying on the road, like he tends to do. Those are the nicest, so we don't have to go through the thick bush. She's actually harder than you might think. Often when I'm driving through or off-road into this thick bush, you actually get really tired. And I actually start to breathe heavier, and I didn't actually realize until I watched back. And you're panting along, trying to get around bushes, trying to find the animal, trying to follow. I remember when I was following Shudulu through the bush. Wow! It was absolute chaos. Still managed to get a glimpse of her, but still slight chaos. Bumpy bits, bumpy bits. Sorry, guys. I always imagine that you guys are kind of on the back with me. Oh, sorry, Lou. I didn't quite get that name, but you say that it's a good time for me to go to the hyena den. I have donated the hyena den to Poli this morning because I will be there in the afternoon. Pruvia. What a pretty name. Yes, I've donated the hyena den to Poli this morning because this afternoon for Safari Lives, I will be at the hyena den. Don't think that I didn't miss it every single moment that I haven't been there. But I will be there this afternoon to see my lovely cubs. You can see the lights picking up just a little bit, so I've put my spotlight away. Come out to play. Game Drive Radio has been quiet, but I think nobody's really out. It's still, like I said, still dark. You can see it's still quite dark. So as soon as everybody else gets out, it also helps us a heaps because then we have more eyes basically out looking for animals, and then we can call each other in. Ugh. Still cold, still a bit dark. So I think I should send you where it's a little bit warmer, I hope, and that the sun is peeking out. Let's go to David in the Mara.
Well, those sounds like very good plans treat for you this morning. And my plans this morning are going to the only lion republic in Africa. I'm talking about the Sausage Republic. Yesterday, I didn't go to that particular area or to that republic. And I'll tell you, I felt something was not right. The whole day, I still felt I was missing something in myself. I was not complete, because not one day that goes without me seeing those lions or without me visiting the area. Of course, there are many times or a few times I've gone there and not seen the lions, but every one day I go out on a drive and I don't go to the Republic, I always feel something is missing. The last I was there, that's 2 days ago, they had a kill, and I'm still very convinced they are still around or with that kill, because it was a huge buffalo. It was a massive male buffalo that were devouring, and I'm sure they have not finished it. And I'm thinking and believing that luck we had yesterday, rather basically from the morning, because Lauren was out yesterday morning and she had 2 leopards, which was very special for the Mara to have 2 leopards. And Patrick was also out with the owinos, with a giraffe kill. And then later in the afternoon, I was out with lions and a cheetah. I'm just hoping that that lack of cats will be following us again this morning and the better part of the day on the Sunset Drive. So those are my plans this morning, but as usual, you have always known before we get to our destination, there are always a few interruptions here and there. Elephants, buffaloes, could be all sorts of antelopes. But the grass at the moment is quite high. We have been saying that every other day. And it has become quite a challenge sometimes for us to spot some game. But that does not stop us from going out every other day. We know the areas to look for, we know where to stop, and we always know what to look out for. When it becomes very dry, when it becomes very tight for us, we also do a bit of bathing. But with such a good temperature in the morning, I'm full of spirit. Something will happen. Very good. So I think there's one gentleman in Juma by the name of Oli who wants to smile at the camera and tell you something, right?
Good morning to you all, and my name is Oli. Joining me behind the camera is James Henry. So this is a very beautiful morning with a beautiful sunrise. We have beautiful colors on the sky there. The ball is not out yet, but it will be out in a few minutes. There's a lot happening right now, right here in Juma, South Africa. We have a herd of zebras and a herd of impalas. So what's so exciting about this herd is this youngster over here, because it was my first time this year to see a youngster within a zebra herd. You can see there's a youngster there. Is that the youngster? Yes. So what's so exciting is that they are grazing now, and this youngster, he will spend 5 days, or the first week after birth, feeding on the droppings of the parent. Then after that, it will feed on grasses. It's a nice and quiet morning, so I would just like to have a silence and listen to the sounds of the wild. What an amazing morning. So for any questions and comments, you can send us on YouTube chat stream or #SafariLive. So my plan for this morning is to go and look at the hyena den. Maybe I'll find the den active. Who knows? these youngsters are always giving us incredible actions each time we see them. So I normally call the zebras the painted donkeys or horses because of this beautiful coloration that confuses the prey, the predator, when they are hunted. That's why the herd is called a dazzle. And there's a beautiful thing happening on the right-hand side here. There's a beautiful thing happening here on the side. This is a herd of impala I was telling you about. There are plenty I can't even count. And these youngsters are now few months old. They are confusing whether they are the youngsters or the adults. And it's so great that they live until this far. But this is a male impala which is not fully grown yet. So I will press on forward and leave this herd and go and check at the hyena den. But for now, let's go to the Mara. We have something interesting.
Very good, Ollie, because those impalas could be bringing, or they could bring some leopards not very far from there. It's always good to see some prey, which sometimes could lead to some predators. I just stopped here for a couple of seconds for us to enjoy the sunrise because it just shot up. It was behind me as I was heading to the southwest, and realized, oops, the ball is already up for the sun, and I thought I should just pause for a couple of seconds, and we just see that beautiful ball on the eastern horizon. How lovely is that? It's so quiet. We are full of serenity where me and Big James are, because nothing is moving and nothing's calling out at the moment. And yeah, Lou in the final control says that is just so very beautiful. And any one sound you pick, either from little birds or cisticolas or larks that are getting busy in the grass now, makes it even better for the morning. Well, I think that's one of my big signatures every morning. And when I see a sunset, I'll always say that's a good way or a good signature to end the day. So I may decide to keep moving on, because the Sausage Republic is always quite a distance, and see what could be left of that kill of that buffalo of 3-4 days ago. All right, Big James, I think we better make a move. And hopefully that sunrise has given us a good start for the day. Okay, very good. Now, Paka, let's go. And we're going now non-stop, possibly to the Republic. And as I do that, we'll take you back to Trushala for an update.
Lions, David, I know that you will. There seems to be so many exciting sightings in the Mara. It's just amazing. You know, I was actually just saying to Seb, I'd like to find some lions today, but I have had no updates so far. So I'm going to be looking for some lion tracks now that there's a bit of light, and hopefully we can find something. I miss the lions. I really do. I think last time I saw them, it was about a week ago, if not more. No, it was about a week ago. So I would also love to find some lions. But the elephants, I've been wanting to find elephants for the last couple of days, and they just seem to have all vanished. You might think, how on earth do elephants vanish? Massive land mammals like that. But they have huge home ranges, thousands of kilometers. So they'll freely move in those areas, and there's no boundary or fences between the different sort of areas of the park. So the actual Kruger National Park and the greater Kruger National Area there's no fences, so they can freely move between these areas, and then I can very easily not find any. But I'm hoping there's a few stragglers or a few elephants that have returned, which would be really nice. I smelled some fresh dung the other day, yesterday. Buck, you'd like to know how big the reserve is? It is 1,200 hectares. So it's not very, very big, but it's a really nice, manageable area, which is good for us because then we can kind of look at every nook and cranny of Djuma and be able to find whatever's on. And surprisingly, for that small amount or that small area, we have a lot of activity. I mean, we have lions, we have resident leopards this area is their territory, so it's a really productive little space, I think, at least. It's also nice and manageable because you can drive all the boundaries, check for tracks, know what's inside, what's left and what's entered. So I think it's a nice size. Oh. Few francolins are running across. They always look so scared, don't you think? Well, I suppose I'd be scared as well. I think of them like a bush chicken. Yes, he is a jaywalker, like Lou says. You should get a fine. You should. Where's the Djuma police when you need them? No, there's no Djuma police. I lie. Well, it seems that Bushwalk has gotten out now that the sun is up, and Rusty has taken the lead today. So let's go over when he says hello.
Morning, morning, and welcome to the sunrise walk this morning. We have a plan this morning, and it's going to be quite interesting. But anyway, I'll start off. My name is Rusty, and behind the camera is Davi. He's just back in the area for the next few weeks. But this is going to be a really interesting morning. I have a few things lined up. Today, we are starting with birds, and not only just birds, but birds' nests, and where they nest and why they nest there. It's been, in the last few days, I've gone through a few of the areas and found a few nesting sites of some of the local birds or some of the resident birds that hang around the area. Some of them are going to be heading off on the migratory pattern soon, and this is probably the best time of year to find the nests and see what they are up to and how they build them and why they build them in certain areas. But yes, it's a stunning morning here. It's got clear skies, so it is going to warm up. And the sun hasn't even broken the horizon yet. So we've got plenty of time to get to our certain areas where I've found some bird nests. And then we are going to slow down and study each one and see if they are active, why they're still active, and when and if they stay in the summer or stay in the winter, and see how the young get on. It's very interesting. We've had a lot of it. You can hear in the background a lot of birds. And we'll see which ones are nesting on the ground, which ones are nesting in trees, the platform nests, the burrow nests, the ones that nest in banks of walls, even ones that nest in the holes of warthog holes in the burrows. There's the odd bird that nests in there. So there's a variety of different birds out there that nest in very odd places. Some have adapted to the city life. Most have pretty much adapted to the bush life. So we are going to go with that. So it's going to be an interesting morning, and we're going to start with, I think, yeah, like I said, we're going to just go look around in the trees. We have Herbie, who is a very talented birder, and Herbie, so yeah, he is brilliant with birds, and he has given me a lot of track and sign with especially the tracks of the road, because those are the mostly your nocturnal birds that we have seen, or the tracks that I've seen so far. So we'll concentrate on that, and then as it gets warmer, we'll move on to more of the birds in the trees. So yes, I had a quick voice in my ear talking about owls. This is a perfect time to see owls, but as it gets warmer and lighter, the owls will be hiding and roosting away. There would be the odd owl that is diurnal and will be out this morning, but there is a nest site I will go past to see if it is active. It is a hole in a tree. It was made from a barbet, but the little scops owl, the pearl spotted, they also will take over these holes and utilize them any way they wish. So yes, we'll see how it goes and go from there. Now, because of this time of the year, there's a lot of nesting building material, especially in summer. So a lot of the birds end up using very specific grasses, very specific branches, twigs. Some birds are very particular about how their nest is built. So we will look at that later on. So yeah, like I said, with summer being so much grass and vegetation around, and because it's still very warm and there's a lot of food around because of the rains and the vegetation, it's a good time for nesting birds. Yeah. So, okay, well, I will let you know when we find our first nest, but we will move on and see what Oli is up to.
Welcome back. So I'm still on my way to the hyena den, but I won't go there straight. I will pass on at this place called Treehouse Dam. So it's in just not far from the hyena den. So there's water there. So maybe there might be something there, or maybe something drinking this morning. Hyenas drinking. Lions drinking, or a leopard drinking, or a beautiful bird. So I'm looking at the tracks. I can only see the hyena tracks. They are moving towards the den side. So I don't hear much birds activity. I can only hear a Cape turtle dove, and we have a beautiful, beautiful female kudu over here. I can't see another one, just this one, and I don't know what is she doing here alone in this thicket. Yes, she's quite well camouflaged, but sometimes being alone in these tall grasses, it's a no-no. Hello, good morning, kudu. So for now, let's leave this female kudu and press on to a hyena den, but let's go to David with a tiny, tiny elephant.
Yes, we have a very, very cute baby Ellie, and she's putting her trunk up. And very good news to hear about kudus from Oli. And I'm sure you know, in the Mara Triangle, we do not have kudus. But by not having kudus, I think this baby elephant makes it up for us not having kudus. Look at her. She got her ears out. And I'm sure she is definitely learning something from her mother when maybe excited and very, very good. Thank you to hear that Ellis will always make up for everything. See how intelligent these animals are. They'll always have their calves in the midst, right in the center. They're very protective animals and not sure if they want to cross the road. And if they do, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. I'll want you to tell me why they have crossed the road and they're being led by that one particular female, and how beautiful is that? Maybe to see not my very good looking face with Ellis crossing the road. So oops, they're right in front of us actually, and I thought they would just go right that way, but they have decided to walk in front. Let's see how long they will take before they cross the road. Well, to my right, about 1 o'clock, James, I don't know if you can see a spotted hyena there. I'm not sure what she would be doing here. It's not very far from where Patrick had the Owinos with Akil. The Owinos had brought down a giraffe about half a mile, or about, also a mile, let me say, about a mile from where I am. And not sure this hyena is heading that direction. It's 6 o'clock behind me, whereas I'm heading to the Sausage Republic. And not sure she's smelling something. I don't see her very serious. You seeing her scent of smell? She's just like looking around. But before I got here, I saw another pack of about 8 hyenas heading to that direction of the kill that Patrick had with the Owinos that brought down a giraffe. Now, I want to go a little close to these elephants because I'm sure they're going to cross the road. They got no business being on the road because there's nothing to it, and chances are they're going to cross the road, as I just said. So let me just get this gears. Okay, nice, Paka. Now you're behaving well. Small, that's a very good question. How old do I think that baby elephant is? Now, I would say definitely you can see she got no tusks. And looking at her skin, let's see if we get a chance to see her again. My guess is she's just about 3 months old. They're disappearing quietly, very in the grass very quickly. But my guess is she is about 3 months old. Not sure what they got there. Is it some water to drink, or they're just feeding on the grass? It was just grass. Well, you can see how she has disappeared. That's grass. The red oat grass could be anything about 1 meter or 2 meters long, and I would guess she could be about 3 months old. That is my sheer guess of the age of that particular baby elephant. We have been seeing loads and loads of elephants here the last few months, and we have been guessing the reason being we do not have maybe a single wildebeest in this area, and we have always thought wildebeest and elephants are not very good friends because of their usual even to me, I think they're very irritating. And what we think is even all the elephants in Serengeti National Park could have come this way. Now, all of them are in the Mara. I'm sure we all love elephants, but James, if you allow me, and we're swing again to the left, sorry to ambush you, there's a small bird in this particular bush here, and it's one of the most beautiful birds that will come when the grass is quite tall. Look at that. The only reason I want you to see it is you look at the length of its tail against the size of her body. This one is called a pin-tailed wider, and it is a male. It is a male because he got that very long tail. If you see the female of the same species, you'll be surprised. They look very different. They're brownish, yellowish in color, creamish in color, and very different. But now this male have those colors and that kind of body morphology or physical characteristics because it is the breeding time for them. And when they're breeding, the males will carry those very long tails that they're like almost 3 times the size of their bodies. They've got very beautiful red beaks, if you look carefully, as he's preening his feathers. And what is interesting is after breeding, they will lose that tail and they will have pretty short normal tail like the females. Now, what happens when they fly with such a long tail, it becomes quite a challenge because the tail keeps pulling them down, and is what James Henry taught me is what we call, it becomes an encumbrance. Encumbrance in the sense that it struggles to fly with that tail. And what the females will think, if this male can survive flying long distances, can feed himself with such a difficult part of the body to survive with, he is strong, he is good looking, and he could be the right one to mate with. And they win all the females. You'll always notice they're the ones that will mate with the females. Funny, every other time I've been watching him, he always takes off. They don't take even like 5, 10 seconds or 30 seconds when they're patched. They take off very quickly. But I think because he's still putting all his feathers in place, very cooperative. All right, thank you very much, Pintel Waida. Thank you, Alice. I think let's go to our destination of the Republic. Exanga, I like your comment. And you're saying the Ellies crossed the road to go buy a shuka. I love that. And of course, you see my shuka. I'll only ask you, if they get to the market, please tell me, what color of shuka do you think they would buy? Same way, #SafariLive. Tell me, what color of shuka do you think the Ellies would buy? Okay, back to the road, and let's head to the Republic. I'll be waiting for your answer, I'm sure you know. #SafariLive. And you will let me know once they get to the market what color, red, yellow, blue, of shuka they will buy. And as I'll be waiting to hear what you tell me, I'll take you back to Dolly in the hyena den.
We are also having babies here, David. Not only the Mara is having the baby elephant, but we have these beautiful baby hyenas suckling. And from a distance, you would think that this is one solid hyena because of the coloration. And no, this is a hyena, old hyena with 2 cubs suckling. And looking at this beautiful hyena here who's giving us this beautiful morning look. And this is June because of the 2 cubs. Hello, June. Where are the others? I can't see the others. A ribbon with her cubs. Nothing. Yes, and indeed. FC is saying June she's looking as if she's half asleep. And I think she will be dead asleep in no time because you can see her belly is extremely full. She had a lot last night. And you can see her eyes, look. And these youngsters, they've located themselves differently because sometimes... not sometimes, but in most cases, if there's 2 cubs, and then one will be dominant, more especially the female. So the dominant one will get this comfortable position to suckle all the time. You can't go anywhere in this reserve and not hearing a Cape turtle dove always around. Yes, we're also laughing as all the viewers are laughing at this cub that's suckling underneath the leg there. But I'm sure it's comfortable there because the mother knows that the cub is just right next to her. And look at this puzzled foot. And sometimes the footprint are confusing with the line because they can get so big. Sometimes we have to stop and have a good look before passing those tracks. And this is Juma clan of hyenas, not all of them are here. And this female that we're seeing right now is not a matriarch. He's one of the low-ranking females you can find here. Oh, shame. Just imagine you ate a lot last night, and then you're trying to sleep, and at the same time you're trying to listen to the surrounding and look around for safety. Oh, shame. Good morning. So this beautiful female hyena here, she's giving us this sleepy look. Let's go to the bushwalk. Maybe they have something smaller than this hyena.
Well, it is a stunning, stunning morning. The sun has cleared the horizon and the light is getting better and better for us to at least find the birds. So there is a few birds out and about. There's actually quite a lot of birds. I wouldn't say a few, but we have not found any nests yet, but we are looking for them. But just to give you some insight into it, the birds we're looking for, the most common nests, are, let's say, the dove's nest. We have the Cape Turtle dove here, the red-eyed dove here. Let's start with them. They've got a very basic nest, like a platform-looking nest. And they just pick up the most random twigs lying around. Sometimes they are very particular about it. I've seen them pick up and drop off a few twigs, and then finally they get to one that they really like. And then they fly off, and they don't have they have a very unbalanced nest, if you want to call it that. They just lay twigs on a fork of a tree, fork of a branch, and they just pile up twigs. And then once the nest is established, then they lay 2 eggs on it. Now, it just takes one windy night or one hectic storm, and then the nest disintegrates and falls apart. But what does save that is when the chicks hatch and they grow to a certain age, the dung that they excrete is not like a lot of birds carry their dung away. Doves, for instance, they don't do that. Like pigeons, doves, the dung helps to reinforce the nest. So as the chicks grow and they defecate on the side of the nest, it almost acts like a concrete around the base of the nest, helping to secure it. So that is another way of them being able to survive until adulthood. And then, after a certain time, obviously they fly off and then the nest is abandoned. Doves have to rebuild the nest every season. It's not often the case that you get 2 doves nesting twice in 1 year. But obviously, if there's a favor, seasons are favorable, then who knows? That is something up for discussion and debate. I know doves in some aviaries nest throughout the year because they've got food, water, shelter, and they seem to do very well there. But then doves in the wild, in the winter, everything is exposed. You see all the leaves fall off, and these nests are very open and exposed. So it's highly unlikely that doves in a natural place will nest throughout winter. Most of the birds are like that. They rely on the heavy foliage and heavy vegetation, the thickness of the summer felt, to hide and secure their nests. So I'm just listening out to birds. It's an awesome dawn chorus this morning. But yes, that's your Cape Turtle dove, the one we're talking about. So yes, the doves are one of your most common. Yes. That is one of your most common birds we have here and one of the most common nests we find. I'm hoping that we will find one this morning to show you, just to give you an example of it. But then your other most common birds, ground-dwelling birds, are, let's say, we'll start with an ostrich. But then you go down from an ostrich down to your plovers, your lapwings. They all have this tiny dip in the ground. It doesn't have to be, it just could be from an animal running and just happen to scrape away. They don't really have to make a nest. They don't have hardly any nesting material. They just rely on their body heat and the ground heat to help to incubate the eggs. So it could be just anywhere. Some birds just happen to nest on roads, which is a big problem. But then others nest along watering holes or open areas. So yes, that's very cool. There's actually fresh tracks of lion along here, but then I don't know if you can hear in the distance. We can barely hear it, but there's lions calling. Okay, no, it's too far away. We even have to think about it, or like concentrate on it, and I have to stop my annoying voice, and then we can hear it. But no, it looks like the whole in Kumuma Pride walked along here this morning, but we're going in a different direction. So yeah, as much as it is exciting and it'll be amazing to see the lions from foot, we are going to be concentrating on birds. If we do happen to find them, then we will definitely stay with them, but otherwise my business for the day is birds. I really enjoy birds. I want to know as much as I can about them, so starting from the beginning for the nesting sites is a good way of doing it, especially this time of year. So with the lapwings and the plovers, it's a small cavity in the ground, especially around golf courses. You'll find a lot of golf courses with plovers. Colleen, sorry, can you repeat that question? I got distracted with my train of thought. Sorry, I'll get back to that in shortly. So yes, we've got the plovers and the lapwings. Colleen, will any birds migrate for winter? That's a very quick question. It's something I'm still learning on. That is, as far as I'm aware, there's none that migrate here for winter. That I know of, but I'm happy to, and if anyone has any idea, please let me know. I will be checking up on this later, but as far as I'm aware, we don't have any migratory birds that arrive in winter. It becomes very harsh here, there's not a lot of food around, but you know how seasons are changing and the whole environment and what we call global warming. If that's changing a lot of bird patterns, who knows? So I can't answer that truthfully because I really do not know. But look, if you have the answer, please let us know. You know where to put it on the YouTube channel or on Instagram or Facebook or any other means or ways you have to get hold of us. Just send in those answers or questions you may have. So yes, we're talking about birds and ground nesting birds, the ones in dips. You find like the artificial golf courses. That is just a perfect habitat for, let's say, the plovers and lapwings and thick knees now. They nest, because most golf courses has water, birds need water. So beautiful, well-kept golf courses seem to be a very good area for these birds. But then in an area like this, that you do find a lot of these ground-dwelling birds seem to like open areas with shorter grass where they can actually see things coming. But then you also get like other ground-dwelling birds, which instead of having a little dip, they end up using nesting material, like your guinea fowls, your franklins, your spur fowls. They end up using their down feathers, or even ducks and all that, and then they end up using their belly feathers and end up lining the nest and laying eggs in there. Now, most of your ground-dwelling birds, or the ground nesting dwelling birds, will often have a young that hatch, and within a few days, they leave the nest, or even in a day or two, they're already walking around with their eyes open. Obviously, no, they cannot fly. But this is one way of being able to secure their lives, is by them moving away from the nest. So there's little chance of attracting predators. So they follow their parents around, and the parents will like point to food or show them food or bring food back to them, and then they'll eat it. Same with like chickens and guinea fowls and franklins. They will scratch around and the chicks will just follow. And then within a few months they've got their feathers and then they pass on there. So yes, we are still in search of nests, so I will hopefully bring you one shortly. We're going to head over to Orly and hyena cubs.
Good luck, Rusty, with your nests. Hopefully you'll be lucky this morning. But what happened? Just a few seconds ago, the youngsters ran. Just standing at the entrance of the den there. They're going to get a nice view because it's thick. And maybe they smell something, or their mother said, just leave me alone and go back to the den, because you can see she has changed the position. She's hiding hair. Yeah, teeth. I know, but I don't like this name. But I don't like it. It doesn't sound good to me. The teeth are gone now because this female is super full, and then she's being irritated by these youngsters. She had a lot. So look the way she's sitting. Caroline wants to know how long will the hyena cubs suckle for. Caroline, they will go up to a year and 2 years, I mean. They can go up to 2 years. And what's so interesting about that, they will create this bond with their mothers for up to that period of time. And they are one of the youngsters I know that they can suckle for so long. And interestingly, they are born with their teeth popped out, and they will lose their baby teeth when they are about 15 months old, and then they will regrow another teeth, and those are adult teeth. So let's look what is happening here, because something just happened. But for now, let's go and see the ground hornbill doing something.
Yes, I have a wonderful pair of ground hornbills here just taking a morning stroll, sunrise stroll the couple's taking here. And you can see that they've got, I think it's a snail, that it's crushed and sort of pulled the fleshy body out of the shell. Do you agree with me? Definitely looks slimy and gooey. Oh, this pair looks so lovely. I'm just taking my darling for an afternoon stroll. Well, morning stroll, actually. Yeah, I think it is a snail. Oh, and down they go. So, I was actually not intending to find much on this road because, like I was telling you about the size of Djuma and how it's easy to find. Oh, you've come back. So I'm actually looking or trying to follow up on the tracks that Herbie provided us with. And now I'm on the northern boundary. You trying to get a snack too? On the northern boundary, trying to check if they have crossed out, because we did have the tracks sort of in the central area moving up north. So now we've got about 3 cars on it, just kind of everyone checking the roads around. And we do that so that you can find out, it's kind of a process of elimination. So now we know where to actually look, which block to go into, because otherwise you're driving off road and you don't know what you're looking for. So at the moment, we haven't found any tracks crossing out of the property. So that's a good sign for us. But I haven't gone along too far before I found the ground hornbills. So let's keep on going. Slow pace. And looking for any fresh tracks. And they should be fairly fresh, because the ones that Herbie found were quite fresh. So if they have crossed out, it would be really, really fresh. Zephyr, you say they're having some escargot for breakfast. How very unhealthy of them, don't you think? Oh. Nothing. Oh, look at that. There he's. Just as I stop the car. Is he still? There it is. Kind of see a black patch. Sorry. Still had my brake and my foot on the clutch there. Very cool. And I guess you guys know you'll always find them, or most often find them in pairs, because they are apparently monogamous, but we've had this discussion before. Monogamy is a really nice idea, but whether it actually exists is a different story. I wonder if they'll... Oh, we can get a little bit closer. Ah. Looks like I see lion tracks moving north. Well, let's have a look at these guys first. Look at that huge, huge birds. I didn't really get to see very clearly who was male and who was female. You know, the females have that kind of blue patch on the throat. And they really are very big. I think it's like over 100 centimeters. And just, oh, you've dropped your snail. And they're just cleaning up the beak. Oh, what a nice way to spend the morning. Game Jam Radio is going off. Nice. Ravinda, you'd like to know how tall these guys can grow? Well, I know them to be about 110 centimeters, and I'm assuming that is height. But, no, that could be so. When you stand near one, it is about a meter. Yeah, I would say so. Because they're tall. They really are tall, and much bigger than you would actually expect just looking at the screen. They really are quite tall. And you know that they have those really pretty eyelashes. We call them eyelashes. They're actually modified feathers, which I think is quite cool. Clean, clean. That one is the same one that dropped the snail on the ground. Maybe it was not satisfactory escargot. It wasn't cooked in garlic butter, you see. When it's cooked in garlic butter, then it's really, really nice. Very pretty. I can hear rattling testicular alarming as well. Ah, there's the partner climbed up onto the tree now. What have you got in your beak? Very cool. Okay, well, I need to follow up on these tracks because I really want to find these lions. In the meantime, let me send you over to Rusty on Bushwalk while I have a look here.
Well, we finally found our first nest. It is a lesser masked weaver. Now, if I didn't quite go into detail about the weaver's nests, but they have a very intricate system when it comes to building nests. They are very, very, very special birds when it comes to weaving. Now, not a lot of humans can do it. I can definitely not build a nest like that. I'm used to knitting, sewing, anything to do with that. I can't even put on buttons on the back of my own shirt. But these birds have got this incredible adaptability of making nests out of, they're almost like shred palm leaves, pieces of grass. They're very particular about their nesting material. It has to be fresh, so green, and then they just go with their bills and strip it. Sometimes they'll strip a massive palm tree until there's nothing left except just the branches of the palms, but with all the actual leaves pulled off. Now they'll come here, and then they'll slowly but surely, the male will weave this very intricate nest. Now it takes up to about a week, maybe even 2 weeks to build. And then as they gradually build it, they keep securing it, they flap on it, and then it just takes one female to pitch up, and then the whole commotion happens, where he wants to show off his nest, show off his home, and see if the female will accept it. Now, there can be one male can build up to 3 or 4 nests, but each nest will take one female to go inside and lay her eggs. Now, if you can see from underneath, I'm not too sure if you... That is your entrance hole. There's only one entrance hole in, and then it's just almost a cup nest underneath it. Now, the outside is covered by grass, and believe it or not, that nest is actually very, very waterproof. So it's designed like that, and how the shape of it helps for the water to roll off either which direction. And having the hole underneath, it makes it very difficult for predators to go in there. Sometimes, yes, snakes do go in. But the nesting material helps, being so fresh, it helps to let the water run off and to keep it dry inside. Now, yes, the outside is made of grass, but the inside is lined with feathers and other nesting materials, such as if there's fluff from a giraffe's mane or something not really particular like that. But they pick up any sort of feathers. I've opened up nests that have been abandoned, and I've found guinea fowl feathers, chicken feathers, pieces of what's it called, styrofoam. It's amazing what these birds pick up, and especially from human rubbish, which becomes very nice nesting material because a lot of the human waste we have is very artificial and actually creates quite a bit of warmth. But out here, where we are, there's not a lot of human waste, so everything's back to natural nesting material. Now, most of these weavers end up building around dams, and always seem to be hanging, not all the time, but most of the time it's a form of safety. Now, these nests always are positioned right at the end of the thinnest branches we have, or the tree has. So if, let's say, a large snake comes along, it ends up like bending and flipping and actually causing a lot of unbalance. So then that helps to not to distract the snake from even getting any closer. But sometimes they're not so lucky and the snake happens to get up there. But otherwise, Mina Moo, very good question. Which bird takes a long time to build its nest? Well, the one bird that we have here that is a compulsive builder is called the hammerkop. Now, the hammerkop is actually a translation with hammer and kop meaning head in Afrikaans. It means hammerhead. Now, it's a medium-sized, large brown or medium-sized bird. Now, they are monogamous. It's a male and female, and they stay together. They're made for life. And they build this massive, massive nest compared to any other bird in the world. For the size of them, they are huge, huge nests, and they are compulsive builders. I've seen them day and night just continuously stacking on this mud and rubbish that they collect. It's this old reed material, everything along a dam or river. And I'm sure all the viewers that have been following us over the years, there is a very popular nest quite far from here, not within walking distance, but it is a massive nest and it's very well known in the area where other birds have been known to use it, like barn owls, giant eagle owls, Egyptian geese, and the hammerkops themselves. But as soon as they leave, it just seems to be a communal nest. But yes, these weaver nests, you even find some of these weaver nests end up hanging underneath the hammerkop nests. It's not this particular kind of weaver, it's the larger weaver. Now, I was on Drive the other day and we found a nesting site where I was still surprised that the nest is still active. As we came around the corner here, I did see a few of the adults fly off these nests, and there's quite a bit of droppings on the ground. So that also means that the nests are active. But we are right underneath it, and there doesn't seem to be, they don't want to come here because we're creating a bit of distraction. But while we are here, I've just noticed another nest because I've got the eye for it. But I was talking about the dove nest earlier. Now, this is a dove nest here, but it's no longer in use. Now, it's quite difficult to see. I don't know if you can see it up there. There's this platform here.
Yes.
Okay, have you got it? Now, that's what I was saying. They look very, very flimsy and almost see-through. So it's like, how would a bird do that? But like I said, it's a very flat, basic nest, basic twigs, and they lay 2 eggs. Now, it's only when the eggs hatch and the chicks are getting fed enough, they defecate, as with most of us, and the defecation helps to solidify the nest and helps them stabilize as they grow up and then fledge away. So it was actually quite nice. And it's obviously some birds use it as a sense of safety, nesting with other birds, because obviously if a snake or a monitor lizard or something comes to raid the nest, there's a lot of warning around it. So this dove nest has been not used this year. It looks like a very old nest. I can't see any dung on it, so it doesn't look like it was successful. But these weavers' nests are definitely active, and we're going to move away from this area because the parents will be back soon. Yeah. But I was talking about how some birds have adapted themselves to human environments. Now, we get like some lanner falcons that nest on huge skyscrapers. We've got seagulls that nest on yachts and boats and harbour houses. Then pigeons have nested in buildings, old abandoned buildings at gas stations. And even, let's say, ducks and geese have made their way into gardens where it's very protected. So yes, where we are now is actually next to one of the towers that allows us to have a signal to where you all are. And there's another bird, you can come farther. There's another bird that's become he has used the cable wires to help secure its nest. Now, it's another type of weaver. This one up here. Now, this is a red-headed weaver. And they are also the same family as the lesser mast weaver. Now, these ones make a very, very messy nest. But it's actually, they come year after year, nest in the same place. Same story with one male making a couple of nests. The female doesn't like it. If she doesn't like the color of the building, doesn't like the color or not enough rooms, she rips it down. And then the male starts all over again. But these weavers come year after year to the same place. Now, there's a couple, if you look further up the wire, you'll see where there's other older nests. And I will collect a few pieces which have slid down. Now, just hold on a second. Now, this is all that the nesting material is of. It's just twigs and leaves. And, yeah, this actually looks like shredded bark. I thought it was actually hair from an animal, but it doesn't look like that. Now, this is a very, very old nest. The leaves they use on the inside to line the nest as a form of warmth. Basically, it's their wall color. And then, yeah, this is actually the entrance of the hole, so it's a very old nest. And obviously goes into a cup shaped and then hangs upside down, as with this one above us. Now, that's also a form of safety because it's very difficult for any predator to get up there. You do get some snakes that try and mission up there, but if the snake is seen in the area or coming close to the nest, the adults go absolutely crazy, calling and attracting all the other birds to come and help scare the snake away. Sometimes they dive bomb it, sometimes they hit it very hard, and on a stable wire like that that's holding up the aerial, the snake has no chance. Again, we're going to head off and see if we can find any other nests that are around in the area. I'm going to let you go off to Oli and see what he has. Okay.
While Rust is getting crazy with his wooden houses, there was a grooming going on here, but June just left the spot. She's just standing there somewhere there in the thicket, and then I'm not sure whether she's trying to leave or she's trying to get a comfortable ground or not. So I'll reposition and then I'll give you a nice view. So I don't... Oh, sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, back again. Now I'm really confused. Ooh, then I'll switch on the car and then they'll come back again. Let me go to the other side because I will do this forever. I'm sorry, beautiful. Oops. Let me stop here. Hello, Juno. You're giving us a hard time this morning. I can see she doesn't want anything but to sleep. The belly's full. And her legs, they look as if they will break because of this load they're carrying right now. And hyenas are one of the prettiest and my favorite. What an amazing question there about the hyenas. The members of the hyenas in Juma clan, the number of them, like from Becca. I'm not sure about that because I've seen a lot of hyenas coming and going. Erica, what about that, Erica? I've seen hyenas coming and going like in Tima and other hyenas, but I normally see this one, which is June, Ribbon, and Corky, and Pretty. But the other ones, I'm not sure they stay around here, but they are part of Juma clan. But the number, I'm really not sure. I will ask Jamie. Jamie, I'm pretty sure she knows it. Oh, James just confirmed that it's about 15, and then and I think the number has went up because of these small cubs. Oh, look at that spine there. Oh. This is indeed pretty and it's beautiful. And there's some grooming going on here because they stay in the den. Oh. Look at that one. That one is the naughtiest one because it always grabs other hyenas with their ears. And it also does this to these small ones. There's some submissive behavior there and some fighting. And the one that's bullying and the other one, I think, is the one that's ranking higher than the other one. And June doesn't want to stop the fight because she's too full to do that. And she's happy that they're not suckling now, they're just playing around, not bothering her. And I haven't seen Plonk for a while now. Plonk is one of the cubs that's in the Juma clan of hyenas. Is the cub of the matriarch of this clan. But I think they've changed the den, but hopefully they will come back. And Plonk has been moving away from the den since he was very, very, very young. And that's not so safe for a small hyena cub to roam around alone without a parent. So hopefully Plonk will be back. Oh, please, June, don't leave, because if you leave, the cubs will go back in there. So for now, let's leave these playing hyenas and go and check the North clan up there in the Mara.
Very, very good. From very playful hyena cubs to full adult hyenas here, which have just sneaked from this kill, and I'm sure they will come back. But they sneaked or they ran away when they saw these two vultures coming in, which was rather strange. Hyenas to be are stronger, but either the way these two vultures landed on this kill, maybe it was a bit scary for them. They came flapping their wings. You see the other one, how it's going to arrive. Another one just landed there. And this was of crime where the sausage republic, or where the sausage lions had brought down a huge male buffalo. And what is left is what you've seen there. And on top of these tortured trees, you can see the number of scavengers that are waiting also to descend and start doing what they do best, cleaning our offices or cleaning the Mara savanna. Now, those are the African white-backed vultures on top of that tree. Very good job there, James. And what they'll do sometimes, they come down in towns to start eating. Well, there's another hyena coming in, James. If you go down to the kill, there's a hyena that's very slowly weaving through the grass. Let's see how the vulture is going to behave once she lands there. Look at that. She gets there. 2 vultures jump up. Others remain. There's one very special vulture James would like us to see, which is on the right. Not sure whether it'll be on frame because of the dashboard of the car, but this is a hooded vulture, one of the most beautiful vultures I personally think we have in the Mara. We have them all over Africa, but I think hooded, to me, remains one of the very good-looking vultures, because we don't see them as many as we used to see them way back. And by virtue of, her small size, definitely she has been pushed out of the main kill, but I think she got a rib for herself. So it could have been a blessing in disguise for her to be pushed out by the other bigger vultures, the white African-backed vultures and the hyena, but she got something for herself where she is. While more hyenas have come in, we got 2. But the way they are eating, they look a bit skittish because they keep looking in a particular direction. And I think the direction they're looking at is where we have the lions. So this buffalo was brought down 4 days ago, and I'm sure today is right time for the lions to have we have gotten the best of it, so why don't we leave the hyenas just maybe feeding and the vultures coming in? People have mistaken, hyenas as thieves, yes, but now the vultures, the lions did what they did. They got the best part of the meat. It's time now for the hyenas to come in. There's one particular hyena right there, James. See that hyena? I do not understand why she's not coming to the kill when we got 2 of them eating, but either she's keeping an eye to the lions, and if so, then they should eat in turns. Once the 2 that are eating are done, then she should come in, and then one of them should also keep an eye and find out what is happening. Let's go back to the 2 feeding hyenas there, James, and look at the pace and the speed. They're just steering that buffalo. Excuse me. Now, if you look carefully, you can see the teeth of that buffalo, and I've always found out that hyenas will almost clean everything of a carcass apart from the teeth. Bones, the hardest bones, his skins, hides, hooves, everything in general, hyenas will crush. They got very strong jaws, and the only thing I've found them maybe not crushing are the teeth. Now, that buffalo to me seems to still be smiling, and I'm sure you all know we've got a clan of hyenas here in the Mara Triangle that we call the Happy Zebra Clan. And this reminds me what the Michigan State University girls told me, how they ended up naming that clan the Happy Zebra Clan, because they one time found those hyenas feeding on a zebra whose teeth were still out, and she seemed to still be smiling. And they named it the Happy Zebra Clan. So not sure this particular clan of hyenas, we might name it the Happy Buffalo Clan, because you can see that buffalo, albeit having brought down 4 days ago, he is still smiling. Of course, it was a male. He is still smiling. These hyenas here do not have a particular name, and the research girls have a lot to deal with, so I would not know what clan this is. We don't have a name for it, unless maybe we give it a name today. Whoop, a vulture flew there, and see how scary these hyenas got, and they all took off. Phew! Just because of their huge wingspan, they come pew, pew, pew. I'm not sure if they're lions, I'm not sure what that could be. So they'll take off, get to a position, and then look. It's a very clever strategic way for the vultures to get these hyenas out and for them to have a chance to feed. Let's see if this one now will go close to the kill and maybe very quickly get some pounds of meat before the hyenas come back. I mean, the hyenas are huge, they are stronger, they will definitely intimidate the vultures and move them out of the kill. Now, you better feed as quickly as you can, very good, before these hyenas come back. Looking at the food chain of the Mara, I think on top of the food chain, I would highly respect the vultures. I mean, we have always thought of carnivores, who will reduce the number of herbivores. But I think for me, vultures should always come on top. In terms of reducing the hooved ungulates that we have here in Africa in general, not only here, South Africa, Tanzania, name any country, I think vultures should be up there and they should be respected by everybody, because without the vultures, we'll be having a big mess in the African wilderness. It will be full of maggots and it will not be very good. Let's have a quick look again at this particular vulture, who I would say single-handedly have been able to intimidate the hyenas, and they're out of the sight. So another hooded vulture just came in there, and I'm sure, Lou, you want me to link to someone. You may have to tell me, was it Rust you want me to link to, who got another bird in Juma? Very good. Another African white-backed vulture have landed. So we got now 2 of the white-backed. And let's go quickly to Trish. I think she got a spotted gull.
Futile efforts, we're just hoping to find something, and then this beaut popped out. Say hello to Tandy. Yay, my big surprise for you guys today. How exciting is this? I've been hanging around like a bit of a vulture. I heard that she was in Torchwood and she was moving west into Juma, and there she is. Hello, my girl. I haven't seen you in forever. Let's count her down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and she's into Juma. Oh, yes. Oh, please mind the back of the vehicle. She's just walked behind us. Let's reposition. Yay! Let's just reposition for her. Thank you, Tax. Thank you. You can see that everyone's very, very happy to see Tandy. Yes, we are. Now, like I said, we're all very happy, so there are a few vehicles with us. But if I do this, there you go. Ooh, you guys are suspecting whether she's... Oh, typical Tandy. Typical Tandy. In fact, I have a photograph just like this. Tandy girl, Tandy girl. So you guys are wondering if she looks fat or is she pregnant? Good question. I think she looks a bit fat. Her tummy does seem to go out a bit at the end, so she may be pregnant, but... Oh, excuse my nose. I really don't know yet. Really don't know yet. At least now that she's made an appearance, we can watch her a little bit more and actually keep tabs on where she's going, what she's doing, who she's mating with. This is exciting. So So for those of you who don't know who Thandi is, she's one of our female leopards. She's a wonderful girl, and she is Tlalamba, the little one's mum. And I haven't seen her in a very long time. So I am absolutely ecstatic that she has pitched up and that we were at the right place for her to come out. Oh no, no. Where'd you go? Did you go into the block? Okay, there we go. Go, girl. I love it when they're static. There we go. All right, so we're going to get a really nice view of her. And just as I say that, she moves to the other side. Lauren, what a question that I didn't expect. In my opinion, which animal has the smelliest poop? Let me just get through here. No, we try to do this with the least amount of damage, but trees usually just pop up, or most trees. We know which trees we're going over and which ones we shouldn't go over, and they usually just pop up once we're past her. Just sort of bit off her tail there. Which animal has the smelliest poop, Lauren? Lions, by far. By far. Smelliest poop. Smelliest actual body and fur? Hyena. But lion poop is unbelievably smelly. Come on, Thandi. Remember I was telling you about how when leopards drag you through the bush and you have to make sure that your cameraman is still on the back? Okay, I am going to... Well, we know she's here and we know that she's in Juma, so success. In the meantime, let's go over to Rusty while I try and overcome these obstacles. Thank you.
Well, we've had a few birds on a couple of the drives, and I believe Gigi in the Mara had a kill. I believe it was the lions that killed something. And the two birds that are floating around there are feeding off the carcass, and I believe I heard the hooded vulture and the white-backed vulture. Now, they are pretty much spread out from all the way from North Africa all the way down to South Africa. And those two vultures are one of the most common ones around here, so obviously we get to see the nest on quite a regular basis. Now, this was a feather from a white-backed vulture. I'm about 80%, no, say 90% sure it is. Just judging from the size of it, and there was an old carcass here a few weeks ago. But yes, let's discuss the nesting behaviors of those two birds, since they were just recently seen. Now, the hooded vulture and, let's say, the white-backed vulture, they both nest on platform nests. When I say platform, and almost similar to a vulture's nest, but let's say a lot bigger, and normally at the top of a canopy of a tree, right at the top. Something that's very hard to get up. So it's very hard for, let's say, baboons or monkeys or other predators to get up there. So you are looking at like your umbrella thorns, your big leadwoods, your knob thorns, they're normally very large trees. And then they build their platform nest right at the top. It's not often you find them at like a fork of a tree. Sometimes they do take over other birds' nests, other eagles' nests, but it's not often the case. They generally build their own, and usually in the same tree year after year. Most of the time the nest stays there throughout the year, and they just add on new material. So yes, it's generally like a platform nest above at the top of the tree. The chicks are very exposed to the natural, let's say the sun, and to weather, the extreme weathers. But because they develop this very thick layer of what's the right word for it now? Fluff. Baby fluff. There is a particular word for it, but that particular fluff that they grow as soon as they hatch helps with the UV rays, helps with extreme cold, extreme temperatures, heat, rain, everything. So it's a very, very thick. If you ever get a chance, or ever held a young chick of a predator of some sort, a raptor, you'll find that they're very cushiony, and that is the down that they have to cover their bodies. So yes, although they're very exposed, sometimes on very hot days you'll find some parents actually land on the nest and help to shade the chick, but it's not often all the times because the parents will be out finding food. So yes, those kind of chicks, they are born very artificial. They are born helpless, or they hatch helpless, sorry, wrong wording. They hatch helpless. And then they hatch sometimes with, let's say, vultures. They have 2 eggs. Sometimes the one hatches a few days before the other one, and you get the Cain and Abel story where the older one ends up killing the younger one just for competition with food. If there's enough food, then there you get enough chicks, but it's not always the case. So a lot of the birds of prey, like the vultures, end up raising 1 chick at a time. But they are very successful, but they are very protected species, obviously because they clean up the bush and are a very big value to for cleaning the environment. But talking about that, we did find another dove's nest, and this one is active, and it's very difficult to see. Now it's almost about a meter 75 off the ground, and it is just out of sight, but it has 2 chicks in it. I'm not sure if you can see it. Now they are also born very helpless, or hatch very helpless, and where these birds, not like the vultures, the doves nest almost in the middle of a tree or in a thick bush, so it's very protected from the top, from weather patterns, from weather conditions, and then it's higher off the ground as not to be disturbed from anything passing underneath it or passing around it. So yes, sadly sometimes elephants do knock the tree. That does happen, but you'll find I've seen elephants walk around trees with nests in it. So that's why there's actually a research going on about putting beehives in some trees in some areas to protect the trees, to see if elephants will avoid knocking them over. But when it comes to bird nests, some elephants, if they know of a nest in a tree or get disrupted by the adults flying around, they will leave the tree. I have seen it, so it's what I know. It's not necessarily all the case everywhere else. So this is the Cape turtle dove. Now it's got 2 chicks in there. I don't know if you can see them, but they're small. They must have hatched maybe about 3 or 4 weeks, about 2 weeks ago. Oh, do we have movement? You can just see the back of them. Now, I don't want to disturb them any more than we have. They are quite high off the ground and very protected, and I think these guys will have a very happy life and fledge into an adult and continue the cycle. So we will leave them be. So that is your Cape turtle dove. So you just picture that nest and picture it a lot bigger, and that's what the vultures have on top of the larger trees around here. And I think it was Joshala had early this morning the ground hornbills. They are by far one of my favorite birds out there. Now the ground hornbills, we did hear them calling earlier on. The dawn chorus is slowly coming to an end. The dawn chorus is coming to an end as it heats up. But those ground hornbills are one of the few birds that also, that's not one of the few birds, but also with owls and other, let's say some geese, they find a crevice in a tree or in I don't actually know if they do go all the way to, let's say, nesting in rocky outcrops. Well, where I have seen ground hornbills nest is actually in a hollow of a tree, and they end up also, they actually line the nest up with pieces of bark and the softer material. Not always, there is some feathers involved in it, but it's normally quite a hard base. And then they lay 2 eggs in there. These eggs are also laid at different times after like a 3 or 4 day period. And you also have the same problem with where one egg hatches before the other, and then you have the same story. So they always end up raising 1 chick most of the time. And then it goes from there, and it's a very long process with the chicks. But they are one of the ones that nest in cavities of trees. So it is quite amazing when you do find a nesting site, because they are very difficult. You just have to follow them every day, and hopefully they will lead you to the nesting site. But they are a protected species, so there are a lot of recorded sites of ground hornbills in South Africa. Okay, we are going to link over to the Masai Mara, where they have lions that are meandering about. Thank you. Ah.
Yeah, interesting when, Russ is talking about hornbills, because I had a big group of the southern ground hornbills yesterday, and I say the ground hornbills are facing quite a challenge at the moment in the whole of Africa, and I say they're very vulnerable at the moment because they're facing, number one, lack of or loss of habitat, I would say, and people are cutting down the very big trees that they need for nesting, and that has become quite a challenge. But with all the game rangers doing what they're doing and all the education the local communities are getting, it is helping a lot to bring or to keep these numbers of the hornbills going up. I left the carcass of the buffalo and I decided to come and find out if the lions could be anywhere here, because I think they ate enough, and maybe what they did is to come look for some water. So that's why I'm in this particular area. I haven't seen them as yet, and I'm just hoping they'll be popping up at one point. The grass is quite tall, very high grass now, and if they go, they have eaten, they have drunk, and they choose to go flat, chances are it will be very difficult to see them. You could easily drive when they're only 2 or 5 meters away, lying flat in the grass, and you miss them. We'll just hope we'll see one of them either walking on the road or flicking up their tails up, or because they got so many cubs, having the cubs either playing on a turbine mount up and down, and that would make our life a lot easier. Most important, we got to the Sausage Republic. What is remaining now is for us to get them out where they are. We did a count, I would say 2 days ago with Bungay, and got 10 cubs in total. And then the day before, we had done another count and we got 12 cubs, and we got very confused because we have always thought at one time Kingtail, who is the leader of this particular pride, got 4 cubs. Then there are times we're also thinking she got 2 and not 4. And we're like, So we need them one of the days out in an open area, have all the females out with all their cubs, and we'll be able to give a proper count. We'll keep searching in this tall grass. I want to change my direction, but let's first go back to Trish, who got at least something better, Tandy.
Yes, I'm finally with Tandy. We finally caught up with her after she managed to drag me through the bushes. Oh, girl, please don't do it again. Please don't. Okay. She stayed put just a little bit. Let me just move ahead so I can give the car behind me a bit of space. Just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm trying not to freak Tandy girl out. Oh, David is a bit confused about how many cubs are around. Ah, there we have a nice view of you, my girl. I am confused about whether Tandy is pregnant or not. Like you said, she does look a bit bulbous around the midsection, to say the least. And I suppose the timing is sort of good because Tlalamba is basically out of her hands at the moment. So maybe it is time for a new one. Look at those striking eyes. I always find it so easy to identify Tandy because she's got these dark, really dark patches underneath the light sort of eyeshadow underneath her eye. Looks like she's had mascara and been crying. Very cool. Oh, I'm so glad to see her. Yes, she looks a lot like that. Lulu says she's gone out all night, didn't take her makeup off, and then you see she's got the clean bit underneath. It's like she just wiped. You know, she wiped her eye and then missed a whole lot that was underneath that. I was so excited when she crossed, and she was just on that other side, on the other reserve, and then she moved in. Her ears do look a bit scruffy. Oh, hello. Yeah, she's a bit scruffy around the ear there. Ah, yeah, I see a bit of blood. Well, before she actually crossed into Juma, she killed a squirrel. And she proceeded to eat it, of course. But that was a quick snack. Not a big meal that kept her in Torchwood. Which we're lucky about, actually. So that might be a bit of blood from that squirrel. Bit of scent marking. Sandstar, you'd like to know if Thandi will grow a winter coat? I actually don't know. Let me just catch up with her again. Old Thandi girl. Oh, Thandi. Always the leopards, even Lou said to me, they like to drag you through the bush. They certainly do. Now she seems to be coming out. Oh, there she is, there she is. Okay, let's try and meet her. I say it like it's her fault, and she knows that she's been dragging me through. She's just going about her daily business. And I am just trying to get through here. It might be a bit... can't do it. I'll have to go around here. Sorry, guys. Not there either. There. At least there is another vehicle following her, so we won't lose a visual of her. Ooh, spider webby. Yeah, back to the question about a winter coat. I haven't done much research on it, exactly how they grow these things and when and why. And remember that our winter is not exactly winter. Our winter is pretty much cooler days of spring. There's not much cold that goes on here. So I will do some more research on it and let you know. Hopefully that she's actually on the property now. We might be able to see her again, and then we can talk about it and explain it again. Now she's just down there. Just saw a glint of a tail. Got her? Ah, there she is. Those rosettes provide such camouflage. It's not even... Sometimes I think that a lot of African animals, like especially zebra, leopard, cheetah, if you had to give a kid these outlines and get them to color it in random colors, I feel they'd come up with these things. And if they were in a room or a house, they'd look so obvious and so strange. But in the bush, it makes them so inconspicuous, and they are completely camouflaged. It really does break up the full solid body of theirs, and it also sort of plays a trick with the light. So it's very... it couldn't be more adapted. I actually find the rosettes even more camouflaging than the cheetah spots, because there's that color variation. You see the inside of the rosettes is slightly browner, but they're not quite as dark as the outside, and then they're not quite as dark, not quite as light as the skin in between, or the fur in between the rosettes. I wonder if she's been mating with Tingana. Absolutely beautiful. What a pleasure to see a leopard in the morning. It seems that Lou has just let me know that Lauren had these two, Tingana and Tandi, mating about 3 months ago, which is sort of correct. I mean, the gestation period is about 100 days or so. 105. So the timeline is sort of correct. Oh, I've lost her. Let's make a move. Yeah, so the timeline is sort of correct, but then that would mean that she would be having cubs like within the next week, but she doesn't look that pregnant, if that makes sense. But then again, that's only the one time that we've seen them mating. They could have been mating other times as well. Okay, looking for Tandi. And I'm trying to get a good visual. While I do that, let me send you back over to Rusty and his bird nest stories today.
Well, birds are plentiful around here, and this road, we just seem to get very lucky on it. I did do a bit of research into finding birds' nests in the last few days, just out of curiosity, and I just thought it'll be a great topic to get onto this morning. Now, this nest, we don't want to get any closer. It is an active nest. Now, this belongs to a long-billed crombic. It's a tiny bird. It's about 11 centimeters in height. Now, I can't work that out in how many inches that is, but I'm guessing about 2.5. It's literally about that size. Now, I will show you a picture later. Now, I noticed actively when I drove past yesterday, Trishala actually mentioned it because she spotted it, and she's like, yeah, it's very well hidden. It's not even it's about a meter off the ground with comparison. You can just see all the tops of the grass here. So it's actually in line with the grass. So it is a very vulnerable nest, a very exposed nest. It does have other benefits about being this low. It just means like the larger animals will actually go around this bush because it's quite thick. It's even got a dead tree behind it, so I can't even walk through there. So it is very sheltered in that sense. It's at the bottom of a canopy, so it's not and when it is very exposed, it means it's very sheltered, so it's exposed from all the elements, even from wind. It's very sheltered in there. Now, that, if we were looking at it earlier, that nest, you can see almost like you get special materials around the nest. You get pieces of, spider's web. You get tiny bits of bark or lichen, lichen. There's a few different ways of saying it. Now that is to help it blend into the tree. So that's another way of hiding the nest. Now, as I said with the dove's nest, how the mother, like with the doves, they defecate around the edge to reinforce the nest. And then these long-billed crombics, when they defecate, the mother will be there, or the father, and help to carry the dung away. Because it's so low to the ground, by dropping the dung, it can actually attract predators there, because obviously too much dung and the smell will attract it to that area, and then obviously it will attract okay. But yes, we will be just waiting here for a bit longer to see if the parents come back. We did not see the parent this morning, but I'm sure she is around. We're going to link over to Oli and a snake, apparently.
Look what I found. This one looks confusing, and this is indeed a snake. I had 3 guesses before we went live. We thought this is a stiletto, this is a wolf snake or purple gloss snake. So I just want to take a closer look, but I don't want to disturb it. And then looking at the scales, between the scales, there's whitish color, which gives it a name, which is, I think, a wolf snake. And then if you can check the head, it's more flat. And then wolf snakes have this flat head. And then the body was flattened at first, and you can see now it's still flattened, but not like the first time when we spotted this snake. And if it's a wolf snake, and then it means it's a constrictor. A constrictor, it's this snake that is harmless and it doesn't have a venom. And looking at the size, it will go for small lizards, and it will also go for geckos. I don't think it will go for big akama. You know, the blue-headed akama, it's much bigger. And constrictors are these interesting snakes because they can go for a bigger meal than expected. Just looking at the body size, sometimes you might think this thing won't go for a bigger meal, but they can stretch their body. And it's nicely quiet there. And it's sitting still. I'm the luckiest fish this morning, and since I've been to Wild Earth, it's my first time seeing a snake live. And this
Star would like to know, is it poisonous? Sand star.
Sandstar likes to know that is this snake poisonous? No, it's not poisonous because snakes are probably not poisonous but venomous. And then this one, as I've said, is a constrictor, and constrictors, they are harmless, as I've said, and they don't have a venom. They will catch their prey, and then they will roll it, and then they will squeeze it. Once the prey breathes in, and then they will press harder. Once do that, they will press harder. That's what they do. They are not like the venomous snake, which they will bite their prey, and then they will leave it to die, and then they will follow it. But these ones, they catch and squeeze and eat. Just like our harmless snakes we can find in our households, which are called the black or brown house snakes. They look very big, but they are harmless. Please don't kill them. You shall don't kill any snake, venomous or not venomous. So I think I'll push forward because this snake is on a mission. And then as you can see, it's facing that direction. It simply means it was crossing the road to grab a meal or maybe to hide, because when they're in open like this, they're vulnerable. You know, we have the snake eagles around, and we have other predators that might disturb this fella. Amazing. Woo-hoo. Oh, so I'm in Chitwa area, our neighboring reserve. So I'm going to a dam not far away from where I am right now. But now let's go to Rusty. He's got something for you.
Okay, well, I would like to know what snake he did have. It sounded like it was a wolf snake. And now we have the predator and the prey story going on here. Snakes are one of the biggest threats to birds. It is a natural balance, and it works out either way. So yes, we do get the birds that eat the snakes, and we do get snakes that eat the birds. And we even get a particular snake here called an egg eater, which eats only eggs. Now, I've only seen in captivity an egg eater actually devouring an egg, and it's pretty awesome to watch. How it completely dislocates its jaw, swallows a whole egg, and then constricts it closed and actually absorbs all the moisture or the liquid out of it, or just absorbs all the liquid out, and then regurgitates the shell of the egg. And it's an incredible sequence to watch, and if you go online, I'm sure on YouTube you can find it. So yes, they are one of the biggest predators to birds and birds' nests. We are still with the long-billed crombec nest. I'm waiting for one of the parents to come back. I'm not too sure if there's eggs in there or if there are chicks in there. The adult was sitting in it yesterday, so I'm guessing since it's not here now, it's probably got chicks, and it was just keeping it warm yesterday. We saw it late afternoon. So it's either gone out to go feeding on whatever is around. Now, earlier we were discussing, yes, how some birds defecate around the edge of the nest. Now, long-billed crombecs, when the chick defecates, it carries the dung away to avoid the attraction of predators to their nesting sites. But another thing that parents do to avoid that they've got chicks is they carry the eggshells away. Now, it's quite difficult, quite an interesting thing, because this is actually a dove's, the remnants of what was a dove's egg. Now, when obviously the chick hatches, the parents, obviously to make space and to get it away so it doesn't drop below the nest, because obviously it smells very fresh. So the doves don't carry the dung, but they do carry the eggshells away, so not to lure any predators to know that there is chicks in the nest. Now, most birds do this. Not all birds. Like the weaver's nest we saw earlier, they just chuck it out because there's so many nests around. They just rely on somebody else getting eaten and not them. They just rely on that. It's a safety in numbers. But with individual nests, birds that nest on their own, they end up carrying the dung and the shells away to a different area. Okay, well, we'll leave this one be. I don't want to stay around too much in case the parents are around and just waiting for us to move. But that is an awesome find. I'm going to thank Trishada very much for that. Okay, we're going to move on and see what else we can find. Now, at the heat of a day like this, it's not often you find a lot of birds. A lot of birds will just be moving around, getting to water and feeding. Most of them feeding, if they do need to find food, they bring it back to the nest, which happens throughout the day, and with some birds throughout the night. Talking about feeding and birds needing to fill up and take their food back to the nest sites, we are going to head over to David, who has got some vultures that are tucking into a feast.
Well, I didn't see the sausage pride lions where I went scanning in the tall grass, but I thought I forgot to tell these hyenas bon appetit. But I do not know why every few seconds they'll eat and then leave the kill and run away and then come back. And either they can see something that they cannot see, I do not know what it is, or where it is. And I was telling James now, we are going to have a new clan of hyenas here, and you're going to tell the research ladies from the Michigan State University, we have the Happy Buffalo clan. We got a number of clans in the Mara. The main one they follow is the North clan, and not very far from the camp we have the Ololo clan. And we also got another clan that is called the Happy Zebra clan. And I was trying to explain to you earlier how they named it the Happy Zebra clan. So this one now might be the Happy Buffalo clan. As much as the buffalo is gone, apparently he is still smiling. Now, if you look at the one in front of us there, the wind is coming towards me, and the hyena is the same direction that she is looking at. You see that? That is a clear sign of concern, being apprehensive of something. What they are looking at is what I cannot see. Of course, they know that the sausage pride females are no jokers. They don't take any nonsense from these hyenas or any other lions. Where do you want to take that bone? She picks the bone and she just drops it right next to the main kill. And again, it's time to go back to feeding. Strange how they're feeding, not more than 2 at a given time, so either 1 or 2. For those of you who could be a bit, not very comfortable watching this particular site, I might request you not to watch it. Sometimes it becomes difficult for people to see blood and such. Some of us are a bit squeamish. Should you please just maybe do something else or change your channel and maybe come back to us later. But this is how things are here in the bush. We have always said lions or animals here kill for a purpose. And you can see how well it goes. The lions brought down this buffalo, they ate their full, and then hyenas have come in and vultures have come in. Joy in Hong Kong, how are you? And always a pleasure to hear your name. And you're asking about the rope house. We could be having some. I searched 2 earlier. And let's see that one that is feeding there. And majority of the vultures, Joy, in Hong Kong that you have seen here are the African white-backed vultures. African white-backed vultures. And unfortunately, I'm sure you know, Joy, the vultures have been going through a bit of a difficult time because, number one, a lot of poisoning has been going on from the farmers, which have been quite unfortunate. We have seen the numbers, for example, of the Egyptian vultures disappearing and the numbers of the hooded vultures massively going down. Always a pleasure to hear your name, Joy in Hong Kong, and to know that you are still watching. Not sure what time it is, Joy, in Hong Kong. It's about maybe 8:35, 8:40 in the morning here. Not sure what time it is in Hong Kong right now. I'd be happy to know if you could give me the time. Trying to get the up of the birds here. What do you see there, James? So I'm trying to look for the Rupert vulture and find out how they're doing in terms of numbers. And if, James, you come to me on the screen here, we'll show you how a Rupert vulture would look like. Is that good, James? You happy with that? So, Joy, if you're still watching, you've seen the big difference of the hooded vultures. And this is a typical look of the Rupert's griffon vulture. And we're looking at the African white-backed vultures. Let's go there. And you see how they look. So I think what we were watching before would have been Rupert's griffon vulture, if I'm not wrong. Let's go back there. Yeah, right there. And there's one on tree. If, James, you go right on that tree there, sorry, James, to ambush you, I would be happy to show that to Joy. And that's an example of a Rupert's griffon vulture. But apparently, the African white-backed vultures are always the majority. Let me move forward, James, a little bit. We might have a better look of that scavenger there. Just keep holding on there, James. Don't go away. And I think we'll have a better look of that vulture from this particular angle. Aha. Right there on top. I think it's much better now here. And that is an example of a Rupert's griffon vulture. Excellent. Very good job. There we are, Joy. We have one of them. And from what I showed you earlier, you have seen the difference between the Ruperts and the African white-backed vultures, with their like ivoryish kind of beaks. I'm sure they'll be coming down to continue feeding on this carcass, maybe for the next 2 days until they clean everything. Now, the African white-backed vultures have been outnumbering any other vulture. That's why you'll always see them intimidating the other species of vultures in any carcass or in any kill you see. Well, I'll move on. I haven't given up on the sausage girls this morning. Let's go back to Oli, and I think Oli got some sort of a reptile.
Yes, I'm at Cheetah Dam, and it's so hot. The sun is up, and I just removed my jacket. So we have Crocky the Croc, and he's gone. He was just sitting there and lying there, and I go, he's back. And then there's this one on the left-hand side. There are two. And Crocky the Croc is not doing anything rather than basking and getting some energy from the sunlight. So on the right-hand side, James, we have these things popping their heads out of this water. And at first I thought they are terrapins, but they're not terrapins. These are catfish. And they're also known as babul or babur. Yeah, at home we call them babur. I think it's an Afrikaans name. You can see the whiskers there. And you can, if you can check this dam, it's slowly drying out. These catfish are not bothered about that, because they can stay underneath the muddy holes for a long time, and then when the rains come, they can come up and have a swim. So these are one of the survivors you can find in these water holes. Oh, look there, they just jumped out. And I once watched a documentary about these catfish. Not the exact ones, but the species. Oh, they're jumping there on the left-hand side, James. A catfish can grow massively. And the one I've seen on TV in this documentary, it was about 1.5 meters. And they can grow massively. And there's this other documentary I've watched about them hunting just right outside the water, just on the shoreline. They hunt pigeons. And I forgot the country where they do that. But is it Holland? Or James saying he thinks that it's Holland, because I can't recall the name of that country. If you know that country, or if you are from there and you've seen that happening, you can send that to #SafariLive on Twitter. Oh, a lot of viewers are wondering what will happen if the water dries up. Oh, we will stop for a particular period not coming to Cheetah, because most of things will be gone by here, because we know Cheetah Dam, we have the crocs, we have the hippos and bird life. So if this water of this dam runs dry, then they will definitely leave. And interestingly, the terrapins, these animals that are more related to tortoises and and turtles. They can also do that when the river dries up. They can dig their way in the ground, and then they can stay there for a while. And then it will be bad for hippos because they will start fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And the crocs will also do the same. There will be a conflict between the two species. And the great part about this water drying up, the leopards, they can feed on these fishes, these catfish. I've seen that also on TV happening. So while we're looking at these catfish doing what they do best, jumping in and out, let's go to Trish with something.
Yes, at least if the dam does dry up, then these guys can feed a bit. And of course it wouldn't affect Thandi at all because, believe it or not, leopards are totally unreliant on water. They get all their moisture requirements from their meals and the blood in their kills. Bit gruesome, I know, but also a great adaptation, so you're not limited by being around water or having the need for water. Oh gosh, I thought she was going to stand up and move again. Seb and I both took our jackets off after we had to bundu bash through here to find her. She went through this really steep drainage that I managed to get up. I even said to Seb, these cars are amazing. What they can do. Managed to get up there. It was quite a chase. Now she's settled down, and I really hope she stays in this spot of shade for a little while. But now I was thinking this whole is she pregnant, is she not pregnant thing is really, really interesting. Now, you'll also notice that I'm in a slightly hushed tone. It's because there's other vehicles around, and maybe they don't want to hear me babbling on about Thandi. They just want to take their photographs. So, yes, again, about this pregnancy or non-pregnant thing, she really does look rotund. So it definitely doesn't look like normal Thandi. So it could be. Now, leopard cubs are usually independent about 1.5 years, and that's Tlalamba is basically approaching that right now. So it's very likely that she could have been mating in with Tingana, but on average, the period between cubs is about 2.5 years, for at least in the Kruger National Park, for leopards. So, but I mean, she doesn't have to fall into the average. Maybe she's one of the outliers. And of course, if the opportunity exists for you to, oh girl, okay, she's walking towards us. She's better than walking down that drainage. Oh, she's just gone in front of that vehicle. At least she didn't go down into the drainage. That was my main concern. There she is. You can still see her. She's been scent marking a lot along as we went. Oh, okay. You can see her just a little bit. At least I still have visual of her. In the meantime, while I try to catch up with her yet again, because she's sending on a chase, let's go over to Rusty on Bushwalk.
Well, we are on a mission this morning, and we are being very successful. It did take a bit of research to find out, but this road seems to be buzzing with bird nests. Now, just in front of us, as we zoom in closer, we have a very interesting bird's nest. Now, this nest is from a blue waxbill. It's a small bird with a beautiful blue chest and a grey body. They are stunning birds. And now this nest is active. As we walked up, one of the parents flew out of it. So I just took a quick peep in there. I didn't want to disturb it too much. And there are about 3 or 4 chicks inside and 1 loose egg. But obviously you don't want to disturb it too much, because if you leave your smell around there, they feel threatened and won't come back. But they are generally pretty good about that. I didn't want to disturb it too much. Now, these birds they seem to have this relationship with wasps. Now, it's not what you may think. It's actually a form of defense. They often build their nests in trees like this, but mostly thicker, thornier bushes. This one is actually a black monkey orange, and as the tree itself is normally very heavy and thick, and it's very hard to get into, but they are very sought after by elephants and other browsing animals. Now, these birds will find a very thick bush, as this one was, build a nest, and they often build it close to where a hornet or wasp nest is. Now, that helps as a defense. So if any predator comes in, like a snake or a lizard or anything, like even us, if we get too close to the nest, these hornets start to swarm and sting and chase away any predator in the area. So it's a very smart way of thinking. Now, we did I had a bit of a story just now heard a story about why they leave one egg. Now, it is often the case. I have seen it when I've found old nests and found one egg left over. Yes, it's infertile, but what's the reason behind it? Now, Herbie has this idea that I'm not too sure if it's 100% true, but it is a brilliant reason why. And he says he thinks it's these eggs get laid, and there's always one that's left behind after the chicks leave. And that is, when it does break open, is to feed the wasps. Yeah, wasps, they do have a variety of different food sources. And an egg having liquid that close to them and a food source, I'm sure by the time the egg cracks open, it's not exactly the most clean inside, or I don't know if anyone's ever smelt a rotten egg before. So maybe that is a food source that the wasps actually need. So yes, Herbie's just like indicating, because I've got this, I don't know what it's got, but let's just meander. Okay, we're talking about snakes. Morley had a snake earlier, which we think was a wolf snake. Now, this is actually a blind snake, a blind worm. It is actually a conscious, and it is harmless. And it does not have anything, it does not disturb birds or hunt birds at all. It is mainly after other creatures, other earthworms, other insects. I'm actually not too sure about the whole food source of the blind snake. That is something I would love to look up, and if any of you know, we will be happy to hear back from you. I am having difficulty with my comms at the moment. I'm not too sure why. But if you do have any questions, please let me know. Oh, that was a very good find, Herbie. Thank you very much. We always have to just keep an eye out and see what else he sees around here, because obviously while we're concentrating on the camera and us, he is on a mission with other things. But yes, thank you very much. So, back to the birds. That one is not a harmless snake. It is a harmless snake to us and to many other bird species, but it's fine. Like I say, I'm having difficulty with my comm problems, but I wanted to show you, we were talking about the long-billed crombec earlier. Now, I do have a picture of it. Now, that is the bird that nests on the previous nest we saw. Now, that's about 11 centimeters long, and it's quite a big giveaway with having no tail. Now, that is a long-billed crombec, the one that was not, the nest is active, but we not see the parents. Now, the blue waxbills with the nest that we've just looked at, those birds are absolutely stunning. They are a bit smaller than the long-billed crombec, but they have this beautiful blue, and they are often in flocks, in family groups, family flocks, and they do help raise the chicks. As far as I'm aware, I may be wrong about that, but I am sure I've seen the whole family live inside the tree. Normally, if you come in the evenings or late at night, you'll find that the nest is actually quite full, how all the family members move in there. And then by the morning, they all disperse, and then the parents and the other last hatchlings will help to raise the next set of chicks, and then they set off on their way. What is also very careful about these nests, in winter, they are quite a haven for a lot of other creatures, such as snakes, scorpions, and other hornets. So if you do happen to see nests that are abandoned, don't stick your finger in there, because you might come out with a nasty surprise. But even in summer, you have to be aware, because it is a food source for a lot of animals, so they might go in as well. But it's also, like, we try not to be too invasive about the nest, but it's also nice to find them. We do observe them, then we step back and watch them at a distance and see if there's any activity with them. But if you are around the garden, you do find a nest, try just keep your distance. Don't touch around the branches because you'll smell, we're full of oils and other smells. So it's best not to interfere with that. And with some chicks, they end up leaving the nest very soon. We'll just take a walk down and see if we can go back to the nest. With some chicks, they leave the nest very early on, like the grey lowry, the grey goey bird, and the purple-crested turako. And some owls. A lot of people pick up owls. When I was younger, I ended up looking after a lot of owls that people thought were abandoned or were just lost. Like the spotted eager owl actually leaves the nest and actually walks around and actually just goes and finds different hiding places. And a lot of people think, oh, it's lost, it's left its nest. Actually, no, that's what they do. It's the same with the purple-crested turakos. They are these stunning, beautiful birds. You must look them up. They are gorgeous. We find them along the riverine here. And they chicks also, they look like featherless chickens when they leave the nest, and they leave the nest very early on. They are born helpless, just blind and naked, but as they grow up, they end up becoming this strangely plucked chicken, and then they leave the nest and just run across the branches. And that's also the case of people picking them up saying, oh, it's lost, it's fallen off the nest. It's actually the case of them leaving the nest at a very young age, and just the parents will come back and feed them and look after them, but it also helps to get them away from the nest and not attract predators to that. So yes, so we're just going to keep an eye on this blue waxbill, see if it comes back. So I am having comm issues. I don't see why I am not picking up anyone's. So I've been given an update. We are going to link over to David in the Mara and see what he's been getting up to.
Well, sorry, Rusty, struggling with comms, and that happens a few times. We go through the same once in a while. And so funny, when you get, for example, you come of getting the comms from the final control, and then the presenter hears nothing, and vice versa. So take heart, it should be fine. And I just saw some giraffes from a distance because I decided to take a different route to look for the sausage tree pride. So, and in the new plans that I got is anything that I'll see on the way, I will stop for. And this, not bad to see Maasai giraffes saying good morning to everybody, just on the very edge of that forest. And of course, giraffes being browsers, that's why they are where they are, getting all those yummy leaves and seeds and sometimes fruits from those trees in that thick forest there. These are the Maasai giraffes, and of course they get attention of who we are. They'll pause eating and first digest us and know that they're safe. And once they show they're safe, they'll just go back to browsing. You can tell the grass is quite tall. As much as these giraffes are quite a distance from where we are, it tells you the grass is about 2 meters high. We're talking of 6 feet plus. And some of us can walk in this grass. I mean, I'm equally tall. But of course, Big James is a lot taller than me. But I can tell you, we might have so many people walking this grass and disappearing. Many times we have used these giraffes as indicators of predators. But from the body language here, it says everything is Hakuna Matata. The tallest animals we got in the whole world. Hello. Just flicking your tail there. Ravinda, you're asking the rainy season. Well, number one, Ravinda, the weather has been very erratic here in Africa. Excuse me, Ravinda, not sure where you are, whether you've seen those changes in the last couple of years. But currently, we should be having the long rains. And they should be on now, and they should go until around late May or early June. That kind of pattern has kept changing every couple of years, Ravinda. And then after that, the next rains will be the short rains that should come end of September, early October to end of November, and sometimes early December. And occasionally we've seen some rains around Christmas. So those are the short rains. Outside those two windows, Ravinda, we got what we'd call summer or some nice dry weather all around the year. But July is always our winter. We go like these 5-6 layers, everybody. But a very special winter, I say, because no snow and we rarely go below zero. So when we do 5 degrees Celsius, that is always very cold. While some parts of the country have been getting some rains, in the Mara not yet. And Ravinda, you're looking at this height of grass here, if you go back to those giraffes, and if I tell you, if the rains will come and they'll hit very hard, this grass will be taller. And you will know, Ravinda, because many times it becomes quite a challenge for us to go out on a drive, or when we do drives, we'll always have our flaps down, and you'll definitely know the rain will be beating us then. Well, Maasai giraffes just feeding there, so we need to move. They have given us some nice show, not doing much, just looking at us, and we're looking at them. I'm not sure what they're thinking of us. And 4 types of giraffes got in Africa: the northern, the southern, and this is the Maasai giraffe. And we got another species that is called the reticulated giraffe. Mainly of the 4 species, the differences will be on their body patterns. Everything else relatively remains the same in terms of weight, gestation period, feeding habits. Very minimal differences between the 4 species of giraffe. We have another subspecies of these giraffes here in Kenya that is called the Rothschild giraffe. Romet, you'd like to know the population of the giraffes in the Mara compared to other areas. And number 1, always big joy, Romet, to hear your name. I'm looking at, for example, Samburu, or the Laikipia area, and also Amboseli and Savo. I mean, Amboseli, Savo, and the Mara, we got the Maasai giraffes. Laikipia in general, we got the reticulated giraffe. Let's look at the Maasai giraffe. Romet, I would say the Mara has the biggest population, has the biggest numbers of the Maasai giraffe. I'm sure, Romet, the time I was away on my leave, you came and visited the camp. But someone must have mentioned to you that we got so many Maasai giraffes even outside the reserve than inside. You'll be surprised. And just next to the camp, we'll always be doing little walks, little runs. And every other day, I can tell you, I see between 20 to 50 giraffes in a 10-kilometer walk every day. 20 to 50 giraffes in a 10-kilometer walk. And I believe we have more giraffes outside the game reserve than the inside. So, reticulated giraffe, if you look at the Laikipia, we have lots of them in the area called Lewa Downs, Burana, Buffalo Springs, and Samburu Game Reserve. So I would say the Mara is doing pretty good in terms of the Maasai giraffes. Amboseli, not as much, but they still have good numbers. Savo West, I think more than Savo East of the same Maasai giraffes. Of course, we've got other areas like Lake Nakuru National Park. We got the subspecies I was talking about, and that's the Rothschild. And of course, we go towards Kitale, that side, you'll see also a little pocket of the same Rothschild giraffe. All right, Maasai giraffe, we'll allow you to keep eating because I think you're very interested to know what you're made of. I'm not sure whether you're looking at me or Big James with his camera. And you can see the wind is picking up, and you can see the little movement of the red oat grass. When we started early in the morning, it was very still. Anna Marie, you're talking about the okapis. Okapis, we have always thought they're half zebras, half giraffes. And I would say they could be, because if you look at an okapi very well, it shows slight similarities to the giraffes, but I would think they could be of different family. And Anna Marie, I'm sure you know, we do not have the cappies in East Africa. You see them. I've only seen them once in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and not sure how they're doing in terms of numbers, because we thought they're quite vulnerable and their numbers are down. And we spent 4 days before we saw them on our 4th day, having missed them for 3 days. And hopefully the numbers have been going up. It's one area that has been quite unstable politically. And hopefully if things keep settling down as they are now, the numbers of the cappies will keep growing. You get them in mountainous areas and in thickets. And the roads there are quite tough, especially the forest in DRC Congo. Just to penetrate, the infrastructure is not the best, but it's always quite exciting if you'd see an okapi and a Marie. Or giraffes, you have to keep chewing cud. We let you do what you like doing best and enjoy the day. And if only I could ask you where those lions I'm looking for are, I'm sure you could give me an answer. But maybe I do not speak the giraffe language. All right, JO, we need to go, Big James. We still have time. Most likely to get those lions. Who knows? Very good, very good. I do not know why, Trish, you left Tandy. I would be happy to know if you could tell us what happened.
Tandy gave me the slip. She went through a drainage that Seb and I were thankful that we stopped and waited and watched before we went there, because it was a sheer drop. And she went through there. So this car was amazing and it got me through that. I honestly thought, oh, this girl's going to drag me through there. Typical Tandy, of course. But she didn't hiss once. So she was well behaved and she wasn't very grumpy. So I'm very thankful for that. But I did lose her in the drainage there. Basically an old riverbed cut into the landscape. And she has gone in there. Now lots of animals do that, and leopards do it a lot as well. It's a nice protected area. There's no wind. There's lots of shade, and it's nice and cool. And especially now you can see jackets are off. And the sun is out. It's nice and hot. So, yeah. She decided it's time to cool off. She did try and almost keep giving me this look, like, why are you following me? Why are you following me? The side eye. So maybe she finally decided she's had enough of me. Maybe I should have worn my leopard print pants and then she would have been better. Now I have what looks like crocodile-y skinny type pants. Print. So she probably thought, nah, I'm not fashionable enough for her today. So we decided to visit Scuba Steve and Snorkel Sarah since we are up in this area. Alright, so let's go make our way there. My hands actually get cramped from all of that. Anyway, let me send you over to Oli and see what he has for you there while I make my way to Scuba Steve.
Sometimes bad luck can avail itself. What just happened is we saw this 2 beautiful virtual starlings. It was an adult and a youngster. The adult was feeding the youngster. But immediately they've asked for a link, gone. So those are the challenges of being live. So I'm moving forward. So as I was on leave for 3 weeks, Is it Lanti? What's my favorite animal to Nancy? Oh, Nancy. Oh, what's my favorite animal to encounter in the bush? I will answer that, but let me finish about what I was saying. I'm on my way to Central. I just want to check that nest from foam nest frogs, because the last time I checked, there was still a nest, not the youngsters there. So my favorite animal in the bush is probably everything. But every animal is my favorite. But the most favorite, counter elephants on foot with James. This one time in Trishale, and we were on a termite mound, and they were just so close, very close. So at first they spotted us before we did, and then they panicked because it was thick. So we went on top of a termite mound, and then they came out from the thicket to an open area because they wanted to see how many are we. Are we not going to, disturb them or maybe attack them? Because sometimes once an elephant sees you, and then you hide. And that's a no-no in the bush. Don't do that. Oh. We have some guests having a coffee. Nice stuff. I'll be having my coffee now after the show. So I hope that foam nest is still good. Maybe we'll encounter or we'll see the tadpoles coming out. Or if it's gone, then that simply means it takes about 3 weeks for the eggs to hatch. So let me take you to my other friend who's busy something great this morning.
We are on a different site now. We have left the blue waxbills and the nest that is in the black monkey orange, and we are moving further up, quite far up. Now, this is one of your most common nests you'll see, which is more noticeable even in different parts of the world. Now, this is an excavated hole out of a tree. Now, what made it, I'm not too sure, but I can give you some ideas of the ones that do make holes here. Now, we have the woodpeckers, we have the barbets, we have parrots, and I'm trying to think of, the barbets, the parrots, what else am I missing here? There's a number of different species of birds, and they all the rollers, but they actually end up boring the hole. That was just the point I was going to get to. Now, the barbets are one of the ones that actually do excavate and actually do more of the digging than any other bird. The woodpeckers as well. They have your very hard bill that knocks away. We heard one earlier. If I hear it again, I'll point it out. But they use the tapping obviously to locate food, but if they find a hollow branch and they want to nest, then they will excavate a hole. And it's normally in a dead branch of a tree. It's not often in a live branch, because of a live branch it's very difficult to even get in there. Now, it's often the case where these holes are actually placed underneath a branch. So it's actually at the bottom of the branch. It's also a way of defending the nest from predators, such as snakes and lizards. Now, this one's in a perfect spot, but this nest is very old, but it is being used by other wood borers and other creatures in there. I don't think anything lives in there right now, or if there is, it could also be ones that take over the nest, such as the lesser bush babies. Even squirrels will utilize old woodpecker nests or barbet nests. Now, some birds, like such as, they say, some starlings I've known to take over holes. Some, a few other birds will do the same. But let's say woodpeckers don't line the nest with anything. They just use the material that they hammer away with or chip out. They'll just line it with bits of bark, and they will nest on that. But other birds, such as the oriole, not the orioles, some starlings will end up collecting feathers and other nesting material around in there. So one hole, as soon as it gets abandoned by the original maker, gets utilized by many other different species of birds. So it does become a apartment block, a yearly rental or monthly rental. As soon as the one bird has hatched its eggs and left, a new bird will be moving in. But it also depends how bad the parasites are or how dirty the nest is. But yes, there is a variety of birds that utilize these holes. There's also the case with some owls, like the pearl-spotted owl will utilize that hole. It is small enough and easy enough to go in there, as well as a barred owl and a few other smaller owlets. So it becomes quite a den site, or a nesting site for a few of the birds. Okay, the woodpecker just been, it's always the case where it's like, oh, can you hear that? Darby, I didn't quite capture that question. If you'll be happy to repeat it, sorry. My earpiece is playing up. It's either very loud or very soft, and because I'm concentrating on bird sounds, I get distracted very easily. So yes. No, my radio is playing up. Okay, sorry about that question. I will get to it shortly. But yes, there is obviously as soon as a bird calls, or there is a bird sound, as soon as I say, okay, listen to that, it gets quiet. So I do apologize. But I can't ask the birds to call when I want them, but that's just the case. Now, there can be a different variety. This is a marula tree and can hold a variety of different bird species nesting in it. I have seen, the barbets that use the holes. I have seen crows' nests in marula trees. I have seen doves' nests and a variety of different birds. It's all at different layers. Some birds will not share nesting sites with other birds. Some birds, like the cuckoo, which are one of the species that we have around here. Not your typical cuckoo that pops out the clock. It's your cuckoo that we have around here that parasitizes nests. So if they find a nest that is of a specific host, let's say a cuckoo will go after like a weaver's nest, and if they can see like the eggs kind of like match, the same size, they don't really matter too much, but the color also can be a throw-off. But if they find one that matches, they'll lay an egg in there, and obviously that egg being a bit larger, and the chick that hatches is a lot larger than the other ones, they push out that chick that hatches pushes out the actual original owners of the nest, and then that poor mother is raising a child of a whole different bird species. So it is quite an unusual thing that happens, but it is survival of the fittest. So these birds do not need to make a nest, which helps with their survival in feeding and growing and then laying their eggs in other people's nests. It's very unfair, but it's just how the case is. So I have seen a case where these cuckoos, where you just see these, like you get an adult bird that's about that size, and then there's cuckoo chicks that are literally about 3 times the size, and these parents are just flying upwards and down, just feeding this relentless chick that is always hungry. And mostly they go after insect-eating birds, which, like weavers, they eat seeds as well as insects. It does help. So it's having a mixed diet. I don't think they seem to have a problem with it. But cuckoo chicks are it's a good comical thing to read. I'm sure there's a few documentaries out there, but it doesn't seem to slow them down in causing the problem. So yes, we've done a variety of different birds. We've done a variety of different birds' nests this morning, and there was another one I was trying to get to, but it was just too far out the way. But that is for another time and another bushwalk, which I hope is going to happen soon. We do have an amazing experience out here and get up close and personal with a lot of the wildlife. But so far it's just been birds this morning, which I am happy about. Okay, we're going to link over to Trish, who's got the hippos at Buffelshoek Dam. Yep.
I like Rusty's little talk on nests. I think it was really cool. see where everybody lives and how differently they construct their nests and the different ways that they sort of inhabit the nests. I remember he was telling me about, we have some vultures here. Yesterday we were talking about nests when we went out on a drive. Let's just stop here and have a look at them quickly. And telling me about doves' nests and how they kind of cement down their nests with their poo, which I thought was interesting. Hey, we have some white-backed vultures. Oh, vultures, I've missed you guys. There was a time where I felt like they were following me, which is a bit ominous, but I really like vultures. Hey guys, is it not hot enough for you to get up yet? Super cool. So these look like white-backed vultures. Although, yeah, that's my first reaction. When the sun is behind them, it's always a little bit more difficult because the things that you usually look for are usually hidden, or mostly hidden. But I think they're quite cool. Look at you. You look so dodgy with your shoulders up high like that. But I still love them. Look at that beak. It's nice to have vultures around because they can often indicate to you if there's some big predator, and of course if there's a kill around. So there's a whole lot of host of animals that'll be attracted to it, and before you know it, it's almost a feeding party. So I always like to have vultures around because they're entertaining as well. If you've ever seen them on the ground when they're jumping towards a kill and they have their neck low, and they're just the funniest things. Really cool. And they're probably scouting out either for thermals or for their next meal. I think thermals because it's the time of the morning when the ground is going to start to heat up, and that heat is going to create a difference in pressure, and they'll be able to see it. Sometimes you'll be able to notice a thermal yourself, with your own human eyes, if you see sort of a cloud form above a certain area. And you might find that the vultures are circling there, or they've come up there, then it's an indication of a thermal. And they need that because they're really big. And in order to get that kind of body up into the air, it takes a lot of energy. In fact, so much energy that mammals are not actually designed to put out that kind of energy and actually fly. So things like bats are almost defeated, kind of. It's not possible. They shouldn't be able to fly, but they do, which I think is cool. But these guys are especially adapted to fly. They've got their hollow bones. They've got that airfoil shape on their wing, which is basically like an airplane wing. So it goes thick on the outside and tapers towards the end, and that creates different pressures. So you have a high pressure at the top, low pressure at the bottom. It was one or the other. I need to think about that a bit better, and then it creates lift. Look at them, chilling. I think it's hot enough for you guys to get up now. They agree with me. Yeah, thank you, Lou. Lou did confirm for me. Yeah, I think it's high at the top and low at the bottom. I always remember it's like the air at the top has to travel faster than the air at the bottom. Kind of like if you're in a stream and you have a boat, when you come close to a part in the stream where it gets thinner, then the boat moves faster through that time. So the faster air is moving there, so that's creating the lift. Cool, hey? But these guys often need some assistance from thermals. Very cute. Well, I'm going to move on to Buffelshoek Dam. We're right around the corner, actually. Look at them in the tree. They look like little Christmas decorations, I think, hanging about there, don't they? I think they're very cute. I'm actually going to drive... I'm going to drive off to Buffelshoek Dam now. And... They always get scared when we drive really close to them. In the meantime, I will send you over to David in the Mara while I go say hello to Scuba Steve and Snorkel Sarah.
The buffer soak waterhole, you never know what you'll see there. Water is life again because these aliens here are just on some water pan, and you can tell that's truly what is life because they are drinking, they're having a drink there. There's this one boy here who is full of nonsense and is trying to show us how big he is, ears out, tail up, running around and saying, one day when I get big, I'm going to deal with you, David and James, and I'll make sure you're not going to use your camera, especially James, because you keep taking my pictures every day. But see how once she got in the midst of the main herd, she settled down and she knows she's home and dry, very, very safe. Now, that's the herd that was drinking earlier. Sorry about my hand there. And just having a drink. There's a lot of water that just collects in the Mara, and most of the water plants, I would say, do not dry all around the area. And we'll see lots of springs and wells here that, however dry it gets in the Mara, they'll still have some water trickling out. Ellis, being very intelligent animals, they'll always know where to get that water. And the white birds you see flying there are the cattle egrets. You see some in the air, then they'll just land either on top of the ellies or just in the grass, because as the ellies move, disturbing the grass, we'll have lots of insects jumping up and down, and that's what they feed on. Not sure to call it a symbiotic relationship because ellies got nothing to gain from that kind of relationship. It's only the egrets that always benefit. And this is such a great view, and I'm happy all of you are loving it, because I have always said any day you see elephants, it's a wonderful day. So many ellies here, and this one's not sure, they're having a little spa, and the one on the left is definitely a lot bigger than the one on the right. So unless one is training the other, that this is what boys do when they get older or when they get bigger, definitely these two would not go for a fight. See how they lock their trunks? A little bit of a push on each other. All right, we'll see who comes out stronger. We'll find out now who will wink first. Okay, you move your ground, I move my ground. But I'll just call it a very friendly kind of spa, not actually fighting, because they're all in one herd. And I'm sure the matriarch, wherever she is, she's watching just to make sure there's some kind of order in the group. That's the beauty of the Mara. And in the background there, you can see the Mara, or the Olor escarpment. It's just the edge of one side from where we are. We have seen one very, very small baby, and I'm sure that's what James is trying to locate. She's so small, and my guess is that baby could be about 1 month old. She's so tiny. So James, just allow me to move forward a little bit, see if we could get a chance to see that baby, because she literally disappeared in the grass. I mean, she was barely like 2 feet over the grass. She's very, very small, and we could have a chance. We saw one small one, and I remember telling Lou we had a question of how old should have been, and I guessed 3 months. This one here, if anything, would be about 3 weeks, not 3 months. And she's in the big group here, and this could be anything to 30, 40 ellies together. A very big number. We've been saying we think all the elephants have left the Serengeti, and they are all in the Mara. Try and get close, but I think the bushwalk team have very small termites, which are a lot smaller than the ellies here.
Well, this is not a nest I was expecting to find, but it is a termite collection of twigs and grasses. It is coming to the end of the wet season and harvesting time is in the process. Now, these are harvested termites. Very similar to your large termites we get around here that build these massive ant hills or termite mounds. These ones are more active underground. Those long chambers, huge chambers, and long tunnels that move that we cannot see above the ground here. Now, like I said, it's harvesting time, so it's almost like what we do with wheat in the olden days. We used to like cut it and then put it into bundles and then take it into a storeroom to for the winter crop to store for food. These are doing the exact same thing. They are bringing in any material they can find. Some of it is still live. They cut it with their jaws, their mandibles. They cut it and then bring it in. Some of the material is already dead. Some of it is still alive. Now, it's almost like some of these twigs are like almost double their weight, 3 times their weight. I'm just watching one further up here that's got a massive piece. It's very difficult to see, but it's abandoned. I think it was actually too much for it. But they seem to be just like walking around and grabbing anything that seems to be lying on the road. Now, if you look closely at these ones, you'll see these very pale looking ones and very dark looking ones. Now, the pale ones don't normally come to the surface. I'm not actually too sure what they're doing there. But the darker ones are normally out and about. They are the ones more exposed to the sun. So having a dark shield like that helps to protect them. I'm not too sure of the light ones. They are normally further down in the tunnel. They almost look like they are the guards that are like checking in to see how much food is there and like making sure if they've got enough. But I'm not 100% sure there. One's having a hard time bringing in his load. Now, the hole is directly underneath this pile of twigs. And slowly but surely, each one will come up and pull a piece down. And underground, there's a very big process going on. It's almost like a factory underground. It's all set at a very particular temperature, and each individual has a special task at hand. Now, they slowly but surely chew on the materials. Laura Moore, I couldn't agree more. They do look very enthusiastic about their work. Now, as far as I know with ants, they work and work until they die. They do not sleep. They've got a huge colony to run, a huge family to look after, and they are continuously working. So yes, every food source is brought in, everyone's got a part to play, and they've got to get on and do it. It's how the world is running at the moment, so I think we are joining the ants world, where a lot of people are getting less and less sleep and more work done and more money to earn as your expenses go up. But yes, they end up taking all this material. Okay, they just end up taking all this food down and sending it to the catacombs, and then with the same amount of moisture and twigs, the fungus that grows off that is what they feed on. Okay, it's coming into the end soon. I'm going to send you over to a friend that has elephants for you to watch. Okay.
Thank you, Rusty. You have done pretty well today on the termites and talking of all the nest. And I'll tell you what, everything out here in the African wilderness counts, from the very small, termites, the nests that sometimes we see that are not occupied by any bat. It's always good to touch everything because they are all in one way or the other related. We're back to my Ellis here, and I was thinking maybe this morning I'm going to change this, the name of this area, and call it the Elephant Republic. But just for this morning, because I've seen loads and loads of elephants today. You see the white egret I was talking about, and that's a very small baby there. Thank you, James. That's the baby that I'm thinking could have been about, or is about 3 weeks old. She is so very small. She's just disappearing in the grass. The only thing we can see is just her back. And well, ladies and gentlemen, I would say it has been a great morning, both from the Mara Triangle and in Juma. And I'm giving a very big clap to Trish for having found Tandy, and hopefully she'll be found again this afternoon, and should be able to know whether truly she's pregnant or not. There was a little debate there going on. And I did not do very well with the cuts this morning, but this is how it goes here in the African wilderness. I did very well yesterday. Remember, we'll be out again this afternoon, and we'll welcome you to join us on behalf of everybody. Many thanks, and have a good one.